Hello and welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are playing Ultraviolet Grasslands tonight. Sorry for the delayed start. We were shopping, and it was fun. And I don't think we're actually done yet, so we're probably gonna do some more here in a moment. We're down at Dan tonight, but we are going to push through no matter what. And yeah, we've done character generation, so everyone's got their characters. We can see their names. We can see what they sort of rolled. Between a combination of like skills and how they've defined themselves and stuff. It's very free form, so you can kind of do what you want. And so they'll get a moment here to kind of explain a little bit of who their character is. We did some world building as well. We figured out things like who their financier was, who's paying for this caravan as they travel out into this psychedelic steppe filled with all sorts of crazy things. And hopefully we're going to do a little bit of traveling tonight, and maybe not a ton, but a little bit. There's still some things around the Violet City, which is where we start, some little odds and ends that we have to take care of, but we're going to go ahead and do some introductions first. So we'll just go around in order of the overlay. Who are you, and who you playing, and if you got something you want to plug, go ahead and do that as well. Joe, you are first up, sir.
All right. I am Joe with the Defenders of Kobold. And tonight I am playing Ensen, the Safranian Musclemancer. I have to get used to saying that. So basically, big, bulky, muscly guy that casts magic by flexing. It's gonna be pretty fun.
Yeah. Yep. Came up with that himself too. Like he is the originator of Musclemancy, and by the end of this, I expect that you will have a very long notebook filled with all different types of musclemantic spells.
It'll be its own school.
Mm-hmm. And what's your spell book look like that you're gonna eventually develop?
So my spell book is a Walkman with each tape is its own spell. So nice. He just is wearing these tiny little headphones with his gigantic muscles.
You have like double and triple speed on it, so you can get it faster.
Yeah,
changes the spell level, how fast it goes. Oh, it's fantastic.
It happens if you play it backwards. Totally different spell.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh, there's so many options here to do this, which is a nice riff on like some of the stuff that's in CCAT, which is kind of what UVG is built on. That's the sort of the base system is CCAT. They do. Like wizards are basically like heavy metal musician types. Like, so they have their spell books are like albums and CDs and stuff. And so you're riffing on that perfectly. So this is gonna be great. Okay, let's keep it going. Melissa, who are you?
So I'm Melissa with Adventures in Lollygagging. You can find us here playing this every other Monday. On opposite Mondays, we do Alien. Fridays, we do Delta Green. And Saturdays, we do Worlds Without Number. So in this game, I am playing Satrap 956 Lamb. So I am a Spectrum Satrap, and I rolled lots of fun skills. So like I'm a puppeteer, I do puppet theater, and I also, within sort of the folds of my suit, I have this many-fingered monkey lizard that is good at pilfering coins.
Excellent. And satraps, so they are from well into the waste. So we start in the Violet City and we head west, basically, because the head west, like the end point is the Black City, and the Spectrum satraps they have their own like citadel location well to the west. So you and Dan, even though Dan's not here tonight, his character is also a Spectrum satrap. So both of you have found your way to the Violet City for reasons, and at some point we might learn what those are. Oh, we gotta get a Bert one. Someone come up with a good command for Bert in chat, and we'll probably learn a little bit about that as we go. And speaking of Bert, you're next. Who are you?
Hey, I am Bert. Check out my podcast at Blue Magic, BLUMAGIK.com, and the Twitch stream at twitch.tv/Steam Steal and Murder. Tonight I am playing Khalil Abu, the barista and medic. Yeah.
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 Yeah. He also has a furry, chitinous, intelligent kite. Somehow, somehow,
Whatever you want to do with that, you just let me know.
I think if possible, I want to take it as my pet. Actually,
I think that makes sense. Yeah, sure, no
Yeah.
problem. Yeah, and you could develop it. So the cool thing with pets in UVG is that you can give it XP. Like, so you earn XP for a bunch of different things in this game. Like, there's tons of things you can earn XP for, and you can give your XP to the pet, and the pet will level up. And if you don't want to level up your pet, and you'd rather just give it for yourself, then do that too. But like, you kind of can share that, no problem. So stuff can happen. The pet can learn ability, and that your kite can learn abilities or something. Who knows? Maybe it could be a hang glider, and you can finally get some hang gliding done.
I thought at some point I could use him as like an observer. Reel him up to the sky. He gets a better look at things. That sort of thing. So,
yeah.
Could be cool.
Flying is tricky. But I think for a kite, it would probably be a little bit better than a regular person going up there. Flying is a little scary up with that purple haze overhead. But a kite would be a good way to circumvent some of the dangers.
There we go.
All right, then. Bottom row. There's a Chuck. Who are you?
Oh, snap. That's me. I'm Chuck. Hi. I do things over on Defenders of Cobalt, and you can go watch that if you really want to. But more importantly, I am playing Tango Carne. I am a ghost. I am an ultra. So I used to be a person, and people don't like me. And more importantly, I live in a small potted plant that cannot die, and that's where I'll be spending most of my time. I do have a meat suit in case I need to interact with people, but I'm a ghost. That's great.
All right. And I'm trying to remember, it was a lavender plant. Was that what you said? Like
It's a
plant?
small lavender plant that cannot die.
Okay. Perfect. The cool thing about ultras, Chuck and I were talking about this ahead, is that people don't like them. They're not well thought of, and probably it's the type of thing that you don't want to let people know that you're an ultra or that you're traveling with an ultra. So yeah, we'll see how much of on the down low you keep that. Also, I mean, it's kind of up to you all how much you might tell your compatriots, because you are effectively, like, when people meet you for the first time, you got your meat suit who's carrying your plant, and so they assume it's probably the meat suit that's doing all this stuff, and that's them, but it's really an ultra that has possessed that meat suit. Yeah Very
nice.
Also, another kind of weird pet / small thing, we have Jeremy as a violet cat. So Jeremy, who are you, and tell us about your character.
Yeah, I'm going to be playing. The initials are MSG. Mercutio Salvatore Giovanni. I'm a cat lord, and I've got my faithful butler, Manmeat. I like to consider myself a bit of a gentleman explorer, and big game hunting, a bit of chemistry, a bit of spelunking. It's going to be a grand time.
Oh goodness, that's wonderful.
Very excited to be here.
Could you say what MSG is again? I want to hear it over time.
Oh, yes, of course. I had to actually write it down because I forget my own name. It's Mercutio Salvatore Giovanni. MSG.
Mercutio Salvatore Giovanni. Okay, that sounds wonderful. Yeah, you are probably the only person who lives with the Violet City, as the Violet City is the city known as the Violet Cat Lords, which is what you are. And everyone else probably came here. We kind of talked a little bit about how people arrived, like whatever fortune they had when they came up last time. But yeah, awesome. And then, we've decided through some comments today on the YouTube channel that there are two new misfortunes that you all could potentially suffer. One is infrared dysentery, or well, we could just combine them. Infrared ghost dysentery is going to be a thing, because dysentery is fairly common in Oregon Trail, so we'll have some kind of dysentery here. But all right, let's see. Other things before we get started. Everyone go ahead and take a heroic. So if you look on your character sheets, you'll see over to the right there is a little box that says heroics, and there's like little check marks. You can store these. Heroic can be used in a couple different ways. You can use them to roll a d6 and add that total to your d20 roll for a skill test, because this is basically a d20 game. you can actually get natty 20s from that. So if you rolled like a 14 or whatever, and you rolled a 6 on your D6, you're at 20 now, and so you get credit for being a nat 20. You also can use that D6 to help you explode other rolls. There's exploding dice sometimes in this game, and so if you're looking to try to get one of those dice to explode, you could potentially use a heroic to do that. So that's one of the ways that you can use them. The other way you can use a heroic is by spending it to gain advantage on a roll. And for and you can spend multiple heroics on a roll to get multiple cases of advantage. So if you were to spend 3 heroics, you would get your normal roll, 1, plus 3 additional cases of advantage, meaning you're rolling like 4 times. So those are ways that you do that. Now, how are you going to get more heroics? Well, you're going to get one at the start of every session, and then you might get some from the generosity of the folks that are out there watching us in chat. So if anybody wants to kind of help the players out with some heroics, the best way to do that is with some bits. If you feel like you want to help them, you can spend as many heroics as you want on a single roll. So if you want to burn 2 heroics to get 2 d6s and add them to your roll, you can go ahead and do that as well. So that can be, and you also get one at kind of the midway point. So you're going to get one at the beginning and then one somewhere around the middle whenever I remember. And at a certain point, I'll probably forget, and we'll stop doing that. So
Thanks,
there you go.
Brian.
So just call out who you want it to who you want it to have it, though. That's the thing. Like, who gets it? You have to play favorites now, Karayan. You got to say who gets it. And so the crew here, like, you're gonna have to perform well. So it's a competition. So it's like basically giving roses out to bachelors or something. That's what this is. Okay. But yeah, you'll naturally get some, but you will also have the potential to help players if you in the audience want to. And unfortunately, we have no Dan tonight. But Dan also is a Spectrum Stat Trap, but we'll learn about his character next time. Let's see. And that's it. So let's get started. Last time, we made characters and we kind of did some basic introduction to those characters. We also determined what your travel quest was. And so what we're going to do, I want you to all to picture for yourselves an average day in the Violet City. This is roughly what we saw last time, which is all of you are in the marketplace of Violet City. We can see stalls everywhere, tiered. Like you can see there's the lower tiers of stalls, the second tiers of stalls, the third tiers, and it's all like this interior amphitheater that's stacked within the city. Various hawkers of wares are jockeying for best positions of where they might sell their goods. You can see people moving about the streets, handing out various flyers for their restaurants, their pubs. You can see groups of emissaries from more distant locales, maybe an exotic porcelain prince or even a spectrum satrap once or twice. But we settle in on you all who, over the course of the past week, those of you who didn't live here, so that would be everybody but MSG, you all found your way here. And some of you found your way here without any real issue. Some of you have an infected foot and are limping about now for your days. But what we're going to tackle is as we're kind of zooming in and we're watching you all scatter about the city trying to make plans for your caravan, screen's going to pop up and we're going to see 48 hours earlier. We're going to do like a little flashback. We're in the same marketplace. All of you are there, but you all don't necessarily know one another yet. Maybe the two Spectrum Satraps are together. Maybe they've come and traveled from the west together. Maybe the two the Safranians, the Yellowlanders. Maybe the two of you are together. Chuck in his meat suit are probably wandering about. Tango Carney and whatever meat suit's name. And MSG is wandering through the streets. The sort of regal violet cat that he is, when a commotion begins to overtake the marketplace, as from various entrances you can see these people that are dressed in kind of greens and blacks, kind of like the Foot Clan, except They're wandering about. Some of them are masked, some of them are not. A few of them are carrying these these paper like paper-like scrolls that they're handing out to folks. Others you can see are leading like these bent-backed figures, almost not around on leashes necessarily, but they're certainly leading them about, and those bent-back creatures, almost simian-like, are following along. And you can see that there's these little necklaces that are hanging down, and these flattened vidi screens are flopping around on the chest of these bent-back creatures. And as they come around to each one of you, either they hand you a piece of paper, or one of them corners you and shows you a small video on their vidi crystal, and you all are suddenly awestruck, every one of you, by what you read or see on what you've been given, because what you've read or what you've seen perfectly matches a recurring vision you've been recently having, a vision perhaps from the true mother calling you westward, following in the footsteps of the old shamans, to find your way up into the void, into the stars, to bring them back down. And this vision every night, more and more intently, you pay attention to it, and every morning you wake and it's more crystal clear. So what we're going to do is, one by one, I want you all to tell me what's one thing you read in the flyer about this particular vision. It's a shared vision that all of you are having, or what you see in the crystal vidi. I'm going to start with Melissa, because I gave her warning, and so none of you got warning. So Melissa, what does Satrap 956 Lamb see either on a flyer or within a vid crystal that I would say makes them uneasy, or leads them to believe that there's something about this that is real? What detail, specific detail of the vision is described or shown to you?
The part of the description has to do with an individual that has this scarring. So there's, kind of one of those big cut scars that kind of goes over, kind of forehead, across the eye, and down the cheek.
Okay, so there's an individual, okay, with a scar across forehead and cheek. All right.
Kind of that like milky eye that you get when it's been cut.
Oh gosh, of course. Okay. So either you see this as a moving, like, repeatable GIF on this vid crystal, or you see it on this like still print of this piece of paper. So the next, that's right. I got my random player thing. Bert, what does Khalil Abu see in the vid crystal? What detail from the vision do you focus on? A salient detail from the vision?
The headline: Coffee bean shortage heralds apocalypse.
Okay. So we're in some sort of city, and we see the figure standing there with their cigar, and we see maybe on a stack nearby of newspapers, or maybe a crumpled newspaper in the street, or maybe a vidi crystal like in a small pub where this figure is standing. We see the headline: Coffee bean shortage heralds the apocalypse. Okay. All right, next. Or did Melissa? Dan's not here. All right. Joe, what does Ensen see? Again, you're building on what we've already seen. This is a shared vision that everyone has seen. So what's the thing that Ensen focuses in on?
I imagine him seeing... So in his head, his picture of the true mother is peak physical perfection to him. So he is imagining this insanely ripped true mother. And so I bet he would see like some formation in the clouds that looks like that to him above. And he would like pick out this shape of clouds that just looks like this insanely muscly figure.
So above in the grasslands, there's what's called the Purple Haze, which is basically this huge occluding like mist or mass that covers the sky, so you can't see above to the fast stars. And like different parts of the day, it'll reveal itself. So as we're watching this individual walk across the street, and we see the forehead scar, the milky eye. Maybe they walk past a newsstand with a coffee bean shortage newspaper, and up above, the purple haze begins to reform into the shape of a muscular, ripped heroine of some form of human-like quality, but the peak physical perfection. Okay. Building upon that, Jeremy, what's a specific detail of this vision that MSG sees?
Okay. I didn't initially thought of doing something with the cloud as well, so I'll just kind of piggyback off of that, because there's he sees some sort of comet flying through the sky, and kind of as it goes through the cloud cover, it kind of like refracts the light in a strange way to where it almost looks like an arrow piercing through the sky, like a hunter's arrow, and it seems like it's pointing in some important direction.
Oh, that's great. Okay. All right. Maybe what happens is that the peak physical form of the true mother like almost makes a motion as if she's shooting an arrow, and what we see is the comet hurtling through the haze, like far off to the west to locations unknown, but this is part of your quest. Okay. And then finally bringing it home, Tango Carne.
So in this shared vision is there's the dude there, and there's the cloud up above, and there's the paper with the warning on it. There's a radio in the background, but it sounds weird, slowed down deep a little bit, and it's playing Blue Oyster Cult. And it's playing
for that.
We do now. Copyright the Lollygaggers. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And it's playing We Got to Get Out of This Place. Just the last little chunk over and over again. We got to get out of this place. It's the last thing we ever do. We got to get out of this place. Girl, there's a better life for me and you.
So this vision, and we're going to say it's all on the Vidi crystal because there's a lot of multimedia going on. I don't think flyers are going to make sense. So all of you are seeing this on this bent back, like simian-like creature that's moving around, has these green and black masks on and like clothing, like Foot Clan soldiers, and they're being led about, and they're showing them to people, and they're like kind of forcefully making sure people watch this repeating image. And over again, you just see this process, and some people are watching it kind of terrified. Others are just put off and calling for guards and things like that. But the five of you, and it obviously would be Teapot if he were here as well, you see this image, and they all recognize in your faces your recognition. They see that this is not the first time you've seen such an image. And again, this is something that you've all been dreaming about constantly. You've been seeing it during your waking days, and it's more regular and more regular. And for some reason or another, you can see that it's the streets of the Violet City now that you're all within it. MSG, maybe you already knew a little bit of that, but the rest of you can see that this very vision that you're having takes place here somewhere. Khalil, you look off to the side and you can actually see the rack of newspapers. It's got a different headline on it now, something about, body snatching is run amok, and how the Blue Lander scum are just beginning to overwhelm certain portions of the districts. But you can see the exact same layout. And the pub that's in the back that was playing the song that may or may not sound somewhat similar to Blue Oyster Cult is there. It's playing a different kind of music, some sort of smooth, strange, melodic jazz. But all of you kind of get, if you could, the equivalent of goosebumps. And right off the bat, these figures, they grasp you by the hand and they say to each one of you, various people, you're spread about the marketplace, you have seen this vision. The true mother has spoken with you, and you will come with us now. They're like very intensely, and you can see that the whole marketplace is just dozens of these figures that are moving about. Does anybody resist? Thank you for that sub, Matt. Appreciate that, man. No one resists? Okay.
Not so
Even
much
though-
resisting, it's just hobbling.
Yeah, you're limping about like you couldn't get away if you tried. The Musclemancer, you're okay with this?
No. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
I'll go
All right.
along.
So we then will move forward as all of you are led to a specific location within the Violet City. For now, we'll call it something along the lines of like the Church of the Skyward Beauty. And when you look at it, it has both like architecture that might resemble something of a church, but also this utilitarian kind of business-like feel to it. You're led through various floors, through the lifts. You're seeing like cubicles that are set up here and there where kind of people in similar kind of outfits and clothing are typing away on various math machines, punching out certain figures. You can see some are kind of gearing up to go do another recruitment trip into the streets of the Violet City. But eventually you're led to a fairly ornate-looking room with a dome overhead that, when you look above, there's this like 5-sided table in the middle. And then when you look up a good 20 feet in the air, there's a dome over this, perfectly centered. And you can see a few things. First, it's almost like a depiction of the vision itself. Like you can see the same things you saw, the scarred figure. You can see the perfect embodiment of the mother, the comet skirting through the air. You can see the radio, you can't hear anything, unfortunately, and you can see the newspaper as well. But you also notice that there are holes in the ceiling, some very small, probably has the diameter of maybe 2-3 inches. Others are much bigger. You can see there's rubble here and there on the ground, not moved. And then you can see that sitting on one side of the table as you come in, there is a figure. And on a ledge above them, there are 2 horned rats that are probably the size of, like a raccoon, beaver, something like that. And MSG. This of note, like this in particular, seeing these rats, that probably disturbs you more than anyone else. But it's the figure, the humanoid figure, who is sort of a heavy-set man wearing like these green robes, and he just motions down to the seats in front of him. He's like, my prophets of a multiple kind, please sit before me. We have much to discuss.
Sure, man. I'll take a seat.
How heavy is this table? Like, how big of a table is it?
It's pretty big. It's probably like about 20 feet across from one side to the point on the other side.
Okay. I pictured myself like trying to lift the table as I slid myself underneath it and then set it back down.
Okay.
Like my edge of it, like leaning it up a little bit.
Let's roll a test to see if you're capable of doing it. Yeah, we'll make it an easy test. So an easy is like 7, basically, is like a roughly. There's like some flexibility.
D20.
D20 plus your stat, so it would be your strength stat. And then if you have a skill that you think is useful in this situation, you can also add your bonus.
Okay. We'll just do the D20 plus my stat.
You got to roll over
13.
7. Yeah, you are. It's heavy. Like, it's certainly quite heavy. You can see it's made out of some kind of green marble. You're not sure. Some kind of granite. There's a polish to the top here and there, but occasional marks where it looks like something fell from the dome above. But it takes a little bit of exertion, but you're able to do so, and you can see that apparently has disturb the horned rats that are sitting on the ledge behind this figure, this heavy-set figure.
Well, if they're looking disturbed, I'd like to double down on that. I'm just going to use my rubbery form to transmorph myself to a more anthropomorphic Catman figure and sit down beside him. Just stare them in the eye.
And you can see that they kind of, like the two rats, like they literally stare at one another, and then they both stare daggers into the back of the head of the human that's sitting at the front of the table. And the human turns and says to you all, begins the sentence in a kind of a language, like some archaic language none of you understand, and then quickly corrects themselves and says, "Please, there's no reason to be rude. Take the seat at the table. Were you raised in a barn?"
I take this time to feed coffee beans to the rodents and then wait expectantly for them to expel it so that I can use those beans later.
To the horned rats?
Yeah.
Okay. So you walk up to the horned rats, trying to feed a bean to them, and I'm going to go ahead and roll something really quick. 120. Okay. So you all watch as Khalil is walking up to these little rats and is going to feed the bean in, when all of a sudden you hear a and from the shadows, like in the far recesses, you can see the slight movement of somebody as a needle has just kind of landed into the side. 31, I'm assuming, beats your defense score, right there into the neck of old Khalil Abu. And Khalil, go ahead and roll an endurance test. This is gonna be I think it's hard.
You can't roll from this sheet, right? Okay. So it's just a D20. You can?
You can't, no. D20 plus your endurance score, and if you have a skill that you think applies in the case of like an endurance. So basically you've been infected, poisoned with something.
Okay. Well, it won't help me to resist the poisoning, but I might know what the effects of the poison are.
Okay.
I have the medicine. 13.
It hits you and you get incredibly drowsy, incredibly fast, and you realize, oh, this is sedative, and you fall asleep and slam directly onto the ground. You watch as violently his head just slaps against the granite table, and he just falls down onto the floor.
Scopolamine. I hope I have a good time.
And the human figure just says, "None of that, please. Your hosts are not pets to be fed. Now, shall we get to business?"
And Lamb, you'll kind of see, just sort of almost look like she's kind of scratching her side, which is basically, kind of a message to Phil, her little multi-fingered monkey lizard, to like not go searching in this area, that this is a time to just kind of stay put and stay hidden.
All right, I put in too many things there. Okay, you watch as from the shadows, like you see one of those like kind of Foot Clan looking figures, and they're green and black, like shuffles up, picks up Khalil's body and sits him right at one of the seats, pulls the needle out and kind of puts it back into what looks like some sort of bandolier of little capsules, and then pulls out like this little bag of dust and just goes and just puts it right up into Khalil's face. Khalil starts coughing and is slowly in the process of like waking up over the next couple of minutes, feeling an intense and amazing hangover. Go ahead and take hang on, I think it might be aura.
Oh, was it good for you? Huh?
Check to make sure it's aura. I think it's aura. Yeah. No, take -1 to thought, as you are like, you're hungover and you have a headache and you're just having trouble concentrating now. Thought, sorry. Okay. So the figure at the table says, "Now, you have all seen the vision of the true mother. And so we all have shared purpose. Rejoice! The vision that you see is the very thing that has brought us together here today. You can see like he's doing like these really flamboyant moves of his arms. The rats, you notice, are like chittering the whole time, and then they pause when the human speaks. I have been authorized to hire a crew of individuals such as yourselves who have been chosen by the Sky Mother above to travel into the west and find the very location where her arrow rests. You are our champions, then. What say you?
You know, I've always known I was a
All
champion.
right.
Now, I must warn you, many of you will die. Many of you will be horribly scarred and changed in ways that you can't even fathom. But there is purpose to this mission. With that, there is nothing at all that one should not suffer if they could live a life of purpose. So, you all will head westward. I will forward you a significant sum of cash that you may then use to purchase supplies and be on the quick to head westward. You must find the key to the sky itself. Up where the fast stars cycle, our ancestors, the Sky Mother herself, now dwell. You must head there and return with them, and we shall reshape the world in their image. Can I get an amen?
Quick question for you. What does the key look like?
Ah,
Like
excellent
a little
question.
key?
And it is a question that only the true mother will answer over the course of time.
So you don't really know what it looks like.
Now, that is true, but the true mother has only shown us Act 1 of a 5-act play, shall we say, and there are additional acts that will guide us to where I believe this to be true.
Of course, and thank you so much for inviting us. Manbeat, give this man an amen. Amen.
Thank you. Now, I know some of you might be skeptical. I assure you that is not a feeling you should express here. As you can see around you, he kind of points to the holes in the sky. As you can see, the Sky Mother, in her anger, has penetrated the very dome of the building to smote down the unbelievers. I would caution you against such blasphemy in this house. He kind of looks
So then
back,
you'll just see.
and the rats are like clickering. Yeah, good.
So then you'll just kind of see Lamb just kind of put both hands up and be like, "This will save the world."
Save? Yes, you might. Sure, that works. If that's what gets you on the road, fantastic.
By save, you really mean have it all destroyed and then reformed in the image of your... it's fine. It's fine. Don't answer that. I'd rather not know.
6 in one, half dozen in the other. Now, we have forwarded you a significant sum of money with which you can painstakingly go through all of the inventory of the city to properly outfit your caravan in a very precise way. and then off you will go. However, the true mother has told us something that she has not told you. We
What's
have
that?
been... Well, I'm glad you asked that. Very good. I was about to tell you, but it's good that you said this. Kind of looks back at the rats, like they're skittering back and forth. Well, there is an ingredient that you will need to help use the very key that will let you ascend into the stars, to the void above. And we have been gifted it. We as in like me and the rest of us, you're new. Don't really count yet, maybe. We will give you this. You will carry it with you. Protect it. But you can only use it when the time is right. You understand?
Question.
Shoot.
What time is that is right?
Not now. Not tomorrow.
Okay.
After you have been given sufficient additional visions by the true mother. 4? So we said 4? 4? At least 4. No more than 6. And you could perhaps then use it. But if you open it early, oh, bad shit will happen. I can't do this. I feel like I'm turning into Bane at times. Oh, God.
No one cared about me until the mother gave me a vision.
I was picturing a cross
Violent
between, like,
Landers, save
Bane.
your city.
I was picturing a cross of like Bane and then the little sloths from Ice Age. That were having,
Oh,
like,
yeah. Yeah, for sure.
the end time sloths.
Now, do you have additional questions for me? Now would be a good time.
Can we have that money?
Nope. Oh, of course. And then,
Yeah.
and like you see from a different shadow, somebody else like waddles out one of those suits, and they kind of like gallop as their way there, and they put in front of you like this metallic briefcase, and they punch in a code 1 2 3 4 5, and it opens up, and you can see there's just cash. We have counted all of it. We want the receipts, invoices for every purchase.
I mean, you know, you did call us prophets after all, and prophets usually have robes. Do you have any robes you could spare?
Oh, you want ropes? Yep. And someone else that comes waddling out,
Yeah,
carrying like
tight-fitting robes. I wouldn't want to hide any my muscles.
something
Oh,
to
perhaps.
accentuate the definition. Ah, I like your style. And you can see that they're very heavy set and they're totally different. But yes, you get robes. And so you look over at Ensen, who is now in a very tight-fitting robe, pecs bulging, as if they have a mind of their own.
Awesome.
Okay. I have one more task for you. This is a bit of a personal concern of ours. I am
Yeah?
telling them. I'm telling them right now. If in your travels you make your way to the Porcelain Citadel, one of our followers, fellow prophet, such as yourselves, Greenware Pentad 5-Body, has ceased communication. Was sent ahead as a harbinger, yes, harbinger, of the true mother's word, the coming of the prophets, yes, that's, and we are concerned for their safety.
Very well, then. I have no idea where Porcelain City is, but of course, you know, you don't leave a fellow prophet behind.
Aim west, and just, you know, go that way. when you see the big golems that shoot laser bolts out of their eyes and, well, rip the skin out but leave your clothes intact, well, you know you found it.
Intense.
Right.
So
And
do
if
we like send him on his way back here, or just make sure he's not in trouble?
Make sure he's not in trouble. Those princes, you know, they have a tendency to have problems when their body count becomes too numerous, but 5 is nothing. But they might have guidance for you in your search for additional locations where perhaps parts of the key, the sky, and your ascension might be found. Or, you know, don't do it. That's fine, too.
Liam
Yeah, we
will
can
speak up.
find him.
I don't think I caught your name.
Oh, I am horribly rude. I am Sir Angelo. I'm sure you've heard of me.
Of course, who hasn't?
Yeah, see? Excellent. My name precedes me. I'm very important within the Violet City.
Nice.
Certain circles. You know.
So
Types.
how will we know when we find your Harbingy friend?
You know, you asked so many questions. Very
just
good
wanna make
questions. I'm
sure
glad you're asking them.
Well,
I want to do my my service
no.
correct.
No, sir, I understand. And, you know, when a missional quest is based entirely upon one's unexplainable vision, rational, logical answers are certainly the things I would want to help balance out the kind of inequitable such and such of this. You'll have to ask for him. And, he wears the colors that you see here of our membership. He'll also have a code word.
Is it pineapple?
Are you a higher ranking member? Have we?
No, man.
It is indeed pineapple. The
Nice.
true mother has gifted you with great foresight.
Yeah, man.
I like to picture that he's also wearing a hat with the pineapple.
They're all just wearing pins that have pineapples like their Starfleet uniforms. Like, how did you know this? Why don't you just tell me the movie that you want to see? Sorry. Okay. So at that point,
I did want to ask.
oh yeah, go ahead.
By chance, he had a vial that he could spare of that wonderful drug that provided such good sleep.
For you had a very rude countenance towards our masters.
I was providing a gift. I mean, it's
Well,
only appropriate when entering someone's home to bring a gift.
He's a part. I mean, you're well known in some circles. Within the coffee circles, he's practically a king. He wanted to give them the finest coffee beans this city has ever seen.
Roll an easy charisma test there, Khalil. And you can use if you have a skill that you think would apply in this situation. This is sort of like, just charming them.
Protocol.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I'll take
so
it.
what does that do when you have?
So you
a
get your
skill?
bonus. It's sort of like a proficiency bonus, and so at level 1, it's +2. So you basically get your skill
Okay.
bonus.
So I'll have a big +3 to this then.
Mhm.
19.
That is more than enough. Because we are all prophets here, members of a very exclusive society in which we have certainly not hired a dozen other caravans to do the very same task. You are definitely, if that were the case, you are the ones we like the best. You are certainly our favorite, and the ones we're rooting for, if hypothetically we've had others. Because you are our favorite and only group of prophets, of course, we will lend for you a small portion. And you see wanders out, and he just pulls out like these two little and hands them over to you. And so just right into your inventory, you have like two sleep capsules. Now, brothers, sisters,
Thank you very much.
siblings of indeterminate origin, satrap fellows, whatever, you, what say you get on with it? There's not hypothetically 12 other caravans that have already started, and you're well behind. Also, if you don't complete the quest, it's certainly not likely that the True Mother will smite those who fail to reach in a suitable time limit. Did I not mention that, by the way?
Oh, that's
If you are
news,
not-
man.
Yeah, if you're not successful, she's very angry. Because she's been stuck up there for a really long time. So, mush.
Make like a tree, yeah, man.
Indeed. Get the
You'll
fuck out of here.
You'll see out of this side of Lamb suit, you'll see Phil just sort of come out and do, sort of like an overly exaggerated sort of like bow. And then a wave. And then kind of tuck back in.
Oh, my dear. I didn't realize we had 7 prophets here. I could have.
To make sure you knew everyone who was at your service.
It is very small-minded of you to think that we didn't know you had that there to begin with. True Mother provides. All hail.
Oh hell.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
Okay. Get the hell out of my room.
All right.
I told them. I said and I was forceful.
Did they say to get
So
out too?
forceful.
Did who? No, did.
All right, man.
He like makes the motion for the thing. Okay.
Can I just like watch those rat creature thingies on the way out that were talking the whole time?
Yeah, like they were chittering back to that. I would say like you would get you might get all of you might get the feel that this figure sitting at the table might have just been the microphone, for what's happening. Is probably the deal you're getting. The gist.
So then the exiting waves and bows will then be in their direction, less so.
Okay. All right,
his.
fair enough. So let's head out into the city and let's do some stuff. So you guys have done your shopping, basically figured out your caravan as you're wandering about the city over the next couple of days. We'll say that 40 hours was, So basically there's things that you can do whenever you're at a destination, and we're at a Violet City is a destination. So there's a handful of actions that you can take. If you look in our journal entry or journal section where there's like rules and help, one of the handouts is the destination actions. So there's a variety of things you can basically do. So some common things you can explore, and usually this is just like an automated thing. Whenever you reach a destination, somebody kind of goes looking for discoveries. Part of the game is exploration, and since you don't know a whole lot about where you're going and what you need to find, like this sort of motivates you to explore nooks and crannies for whatever little secrets the True Mother might have scattered about in her weird like Easter egg hunt as you head west. And you get XP for it, for discovering locations and visiting those locations. So exploring is a common thing. There's market research that you can do in certain settlements. There's a lot of trading that happens in this game. You all owe 16,000 cash to them by the end of the year because you have a 100% return. It's crazy, but basically you owe them a lot of cash, even though they forwarded you money. And so as you're moving about the caravan, no one really just kind of goes out into the waste without looking to try to strike up deals here and there. Interest rates are a killer. And so those are things you could potentially do. You can kind of schmooze about the city and figuring out like what trade goods here might be selling well elsewhere, and so then you might be able to burn some of the cash that you got to buy some stuff here, and since you're traveling west anyway, deliver it to a different place for a markup price, and you get some more cash and things like that to help fill your war chests and pay for your people. You can carouse. This is not going to be as useful for you just yet, since I don't know how much money you all have left over. But carousing requires cash. So in settlements, not any destination, but in settlements like a city like this one, you can kind of just head out and start drinking and have an experience and gain experience for it. And then we roll on some charts and we kind of like narrate exactly what that experience was. But it does require you to burn cash. It's basically spending cash for XP. In places like this, you can also, instead of carousing, kind of a more controlled, refined thing is to kind of just go restaurant touring. You can kind of tour the restaurants and become a regular somewhere, which is kind of cool. And then you can just kind of do some buying and selling. You can also hear, since some of you are interested in hiring some henchmen and hirelings, that's another thing you could potentially do. So these are things you can do kind of like over the course of a week, because a week is kind of the central, timepiece that we use. So, how do you want to handle this? So with that in mind, you've already kind of gotten a head start in your planning. You have a couple days left before like the end of the week to try to get, a handful of other things done before you're sort of set your date to leave the Violet City and go on the road. What would everybody think they would want to do around the city? And if something doesn't fit perfectly into one of those actions, feel free to just say what it is you want to do, and we'll figure something out.
I would like to try and make the most of my sales since I'm a merchant. I'm trying to sell more like supplements and bulking, and he's all into like physical health and stuff. That's what he tries to find a market for every time he travels.
Okay. Everyone go ahead, by the way, take another heroic since it is midway point. And don't forget that you can use those. Just roll an extra d6 or to give yourself advantage on a roll. And that might be useful as we start doing some of these things. So like if you're looking to do market research, then it sounds like you're trying to figure out sort of what local goods that Violet City has access to that you could potentially buy and deliver somewhere else. So what that's going to be is basically any kind of relevant test. It's usually charisma plus a skill. So if you have a skill that you think would be suitable in this case, you can add that to it. And then you also have the heroics you can pull on if you wanted to do that as well.
All right.
So go ahead and roll it and call out what you got.
Can I announce my heroics after I make the roll?
I believe so, yeah. I think you can do that when you want to add the D6 to it. I guess you could probably do it with advantage too. But that's fine. We can just do it that way.
Okay.
Until we know otherwise.
Right. I'm happy with a 12.
Okay. So with these rolls, higher is better. Higher is always better. The higher you can roll, the better it will be. Lower you roll, the worse it'll be. 12 is very middling.
Okay.
So
I might throw a d6 on it then.
Okay.
Hey, 18.
Nice.
All right. So over the course of your time working through the marketplaces, there are two trade goods that you feel are kind of best suited perhaps for kind of trade elsewhere. And those are vampire wines, which are basically from the Redlands. And there's from your own, this is just a freebie because you are a Yellowlander, saffron, which is like this spice, like kind of a magical spice. The price of vampire wines is fairly affordable. It's basically like 100 cash per sack. And the cost of saffron is way more expensive. It's like 2,000 per sack. Now, you know that with your roll of an 18, which is a pretty decent roll, you would know that the further west you go with vampire wines, the more you're going to get for them. If you just went anywhere local, so with a roll of 18, you basically know like one adjacent location, I think. So you would know that Sorry, I'm still wrapping my heads around some of the trade stuff, which is a little different than what I'm used to. You would know that there is a place 2 stops further along the map from like the next place. So the next place over is basically like the step of the line nomads is probably the next semi-settlement you might be able to do a trade thing for. You know that the price of vampire wines is really no different there than it is here. And you would know that's kind of the same thing when it comes to the porcelain citadel. But you would know that beyond that, maybe around the last Sarai, you might be able to find better prices, like ×3 prices. So if you actually bought like a chunk of vampire wines and like headed several stops out, you can get like a 3 times return on them.
Might be a good thing to do with all of our like unspent money is load up on the wines. Seems like its price is low enough that we can do that pretty easily.
You can do the same thing for saffron, but it's a question of how much you want to get.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay.
Definitely a way for us to earn some money.
All right. So what else are people doing over their final days here within the Violet City?
I want to find out if there's any money to be made in transferring mail or packages from this location to our other location.
Okay. Go ahead and roll sort of the same thing. Roll charisma plus if you have like a specific skill that you think would be suited here.
Not really, so just my charisma.
Okay.
19.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. You there's not like a regular mail service, but as you're asking around, there is a merchant that you meet, a violent lander named Sevi, that you know them simply because you were asking around, probably because you're foot, and so you're looking for some kind of medical treatment or medical aid. But they're trying to get a package to someone in the Porcelain Citadel. There is a polybody by the name of Orangeware that they're looking to get they're looking to deliver an order to them because they're supposed to get a big return, and if you were to take it, you could potentially get like a percentage of that. They'll give you 20% of the payment, and you're welcome to try to like haggle when you arrive if you want to like kind of increase that payment.
Sure.
All right. Now, would anybody like to? Someone should do the discovery test if anybody wants to do that.
I can do it if no one else wants to.
Go for it.
So yeah.
It's the same deal. It's charisma is a very common thing because it's like luck, but you can always add a skill. So discoveries are kind of like asking around or, investigating. It could be something as simple as like in a case like a settlement, you could be going to a library, or you can be going to like a civil, like a city center and like doing some research for like historical landmarks or something like that. Or you could be drinking at the pub and talking to people. If you think there's a skill that might let you find like landmarks of interest around near Violet City, that's basically what you're going after here.
Okay. I don't know if I got a skill that would really tie into that, so I'll just do a charisma, which would be D20 plus 4. We got a 19.
Wow.
They're
Look at these
crushing
rolls.
your rolls.
Yeah.
Okay, so a 19. All right, 19 will get you 1 discovery, unless you wanted to burn one of your heroics to try to get a second. Because the cutoff, the cutoff is if you burn 1, you'll be able to get a second easily. Okay.
24.
All right. So then, as you're moving around, one of the things you probably overhear at one of kind of the local we'll call it bar/eatery is there's all this talk, all this rage about this kind of underground, but that's being used metaphorically. Kind of dance club that is apparently holed up within some kind of sunken transient tower that's along the coast of like in the waters of the Circle Sea. So you can put down, that this transient old tower is 2 days. It's roughly 2 days northeast of the Violet City, and there's this tower that rises out of the water and has a tendency to move around, and it's very exclusive, and it's a very small clientele that go there. But apparently, it's a hell of a club. And the other thing is the Last Chair Salon, which you discover as well. You hear that it's about a day's journey west of the Violet City, where like a variety of coffee plantations give way to these like scrubby uplands. There is apparently this like little salon area where you can get kind of booze and like this what's called yellow beer and some other things that is apparently has a bit of a reputation. So those are the two discoveries that your role gave you. Now, what this means is that you guys can conceivably, like, we're working through the mechanics. It's super early. So basically what this allows you to do is if you want to go visit them, you burn those days. So it'll take a day to get to this salon. It'll take 2 days to get to the club. And that's kind of reducing the time of your travel, like that week time. And you spend a day there, like kind of just experiencing the sights, looking around at least a day, and you can just get XP for doing that, just straight up XP. And then at these discovery sites, there could be other things to do. There could be the sites of dungeons, there could be the sites of like, sunken temples or old tech that you can kind of salvage and grab stuff and sell or use, meet people, all that kind of stuff. So this game's very much about like exploring these discoveries that you find all over. So, all right. So there's 2 of them. Go ahead and add some, because we're going to start like making the map up a bit as we figure this out. Okay. So who had, I think Jeremy and Melissa, you haven't done anything yet. Is there anything in particular you're looking to do?
I've got something in mind.
Go for it, man.
I think I would be trying to hobnob with maybe other hunters in the area. Basically, because part of being a big game hunter, it's not just about the hunt, it's about telling the stories about your side. I'm sure everybody has that big fish tale, basically. I want to get some word about maybe some strange prey out there that, some not just the regular plebeian thing to hunt. You need a named creature to go after.
Okay. This sounds a little bit like maybe carousing. But like with a specific goal in mind, maybe like you're looking to carouse at maybe hunting. So how about this? You're a known hunter already. You're a bushwhacker. It's in your title, damn it. There's a bar, or maybe not a bar. Maybe it's like a lounge, like a lodge, somewhere within the city for retired hunters, elderly Alan Quartermain type folk, who all like huddle around these kind of redwood paneled rooms, smoking a variety of wonderful leaf from the stepplands and
purple oliphant.
And the purple oliphant. And they talk all the time about like their various conquests and things like that. Go ahead and we'll say roll a charisma test. And if there's a skill that you think you want to apply, go ahead.
I do have big game hunter.
Do it.
Okay, so I'll just do a d20. There'll be a +4 at the end. I hope it doesn't suck. I'll roll a d6.
Wow. Still good at 13.
Okay. 13's not
Okay.
bad. It's okay. 13 is middling. I should also say 13 specifically. Oh, you're adding the 6 on top of it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to add the 6 on top of that, get it up to a 19.
So you know how some games, like when you roll D100, like you do special things on like 86 or 69. Like 13 is kind of a special number in this game, and so
Oh, is it? Okay.
yeah,
Maybe
so
I should.
it's not necessarily in a good way. It's like one of those like kind of bad luck, interesting thing situations. In this case, like it's not going to kill you or anything like that if you rolled a 13. It's just like you might get what you want, but not in the way you think.
Fun.
So you learn that in the steppe of the Lime Nomads, like you're looking for big game, like you really want something. There's apparently rumor of a massive megapede. So if you were to head towards the lands of the Lime Nomads, there is like kind of stories, urban legends, tales, failed excursions to hunt this thing down that's so large that when it moves nearby, it shakes the ground. And it has these massive, like segmented neural nodes where these like glittering like incrustations on all over top of it. But that is the closest big game that they can think of. But they say like there's some man who says, "You boy, you be careful heading out after this one. Make sure we sent it whole army with our old friend Die Master. Alex Die Master was his name. May he rest in peace. He went after this megapede and we haven't seen him since."
Still, it's such a fantastic story. I'm incredibly excited to see it. I really want to have to give some thought about that. You said these some sort of neural nodes. You say?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a suspicion it's some sort of biomechanical beast of some kind, maybe, or something of a not entirely natural. It has a bit of the old tech, perhaps, in it. Something even, perhaps, alien. So strange it is. Never seen it myself, mind you. I've heard it. Felt the ground shake, but knew I did not have enough with me firepower, strong, hearty folk to take it down, so I am not ashamed to admit we ran.
Wonderful. Alien, you say? I absolutely have to seek this thing out, then. Thank you.
Of course. And, of course, should you fell the beast, bring a trophy back for the large old chap.
Of course.
Very much like to add it to the collection. You see, like, on the walls, there's just all sorts of these horrible, like, just like an array of, like, some of them look like normal animals, but then it gets like more alien and strange, and even some of them almost look mechanical and robotic and such.
Absolutely. Thank you, as always.
Of course. Anything for you, Mercurio, whatever the MSG. And then Melissa, is there something that you wanted to do?
So I guess maybe I could do the roles for the hiring.
Okay, yeah. If you want to try to recruit some folk, sure. So yours is actually different. Yours is just a straight roll. So in the game you can do, you can just hire like random stuff. But if you like, there's certain places where you can potentially get some highwaymen or some henchmen that have a little bit more flavor to them. So yeah, go ahead and roll a d12. D12.
12 or 20?
12.
6.
Okay, we all need to see it. Enough with your cheating, Melissa.
Oh.
Everyone knows you cheat at this point. It's ridiculous. This is what I have to deal with, everybody. Thank you, Chuck.
I was playing with stuff in between, and I didn't want to spam.
We still see
Well,
it.
I rolled even better this time, and I got a 9.
Okay. All right. As you are looking about for maybe warriors or hunters, people of the ability to help defend the caravan, you meet a particular individual in one of several kind of recruitment posts, these areas around where people kind of look for work or are trying to catch on to a caravan or something like that. You meet a man by the name of Vigo Brostek. Vigo Brostek is his name. Student of the dead is my game. If undead are a problem for you, well, old Vigo, I don't want to brag, but old Vigo will give him the old 1-2, you will. Not a problem at all. Now, I gotta tell you, I don't come cheap. $20, 20 cash. We'll say, I think it's a week. 20 cash a week. And I won't settle for anything less. It's actually a reasonable price, but he thinks he's worth a lot.
I think that would be agreeable.
Now, as you're watching him, there's something he's doing that makes it seem like he's paranoid, like about something. Like he's kind of shifty in some way. What's his tell? Like what's giving him like as if there's something he's concerned of, like he's being followed or whatever. What is he doing?
He's doing that thing where he's kind of looking down, like he's pretending to look down, but he's definitely looking down and behind.
Okay. So just always looking behind him. All right. All right. So you're able to get, you think, a fairly sturdy henchman to help you, who seems to know a great deal about the undead and has regaled you unendingly on your leading him to the caravan itself about all of the various ways in which I've sliced them, I've diced them. Skeletons, zombies, bar zombies, car zombies, all the different types of zombies. I've taken them all out.
Something that I want to do to kind of test his awareness is I want to have Phil kind of come out and, like, I'm not genuinely trying to pickpocket someone that I'm about to hire, but I want to see if he catches on, like how observant he is.
Okay. All right. So we'll do a contested roll. So go ahead and roll like a steal test of some kind. So we'll say what, like agility maybe, plus plus a skill that you have.
Yeah, so Phil has pickpocketing and a bonus of 2. So D20 plus 3.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
See if I did that right. 21.
Okay, 21. Keep rolling as a caravan for some reason. I rolled really well. You notice as Phil does his work, Phil is able to, but you can tell multiple times, like Vigo, as like Phil's kind of digging into the guy's purses and whatnot. You can see Phil like quickly like kind of shifts, and every now and then Phil has to like kind of dodge a bit, and so he actually puts Phil to work. But eventually Phil is successful and manages to snatch like from one of the purses, like this little fanny pack that Vigo is wearing, what looks like some kind of bronze bone, very small. Almost looks like a chicken wing, and Phil kind of scurries back up and finds its way back into your suit. But you can tell that the whole time Vigo sensed something was up, but could never quite catch Phil, and it hasn't necessarily gone through his pack yet to see if something was taken.
Okay, and basically like I, as soon as he walks a little bit ahead of me, I'm gonna take a look at it, and then now that he's kind of joining the caravan, gonna say, Vigo.
Yes?
And I'm gonna kind of toss it to him.
Yep. Oh,
And just say, yep. So this is Phil. And Phil kind of poke his little head out.
Oh
and just
my
say,
God, you people are just filled with all sorts of mystery, aren't you?
I'd like to see if someone is going to work for us, how close they're actually paying attention to what's going on. And
I thought I felt someone fiddling around.
Yes, you did pretty well. Keep that up, and I think you will be a good employee for a while.
Well, thank you very kindly. I shall be on the lookout, Phil. Naughty, naughty. Now, it's not commonplace for you to steal from the people you hire, is it? Because it's kind of a concerning practice. Do you have an HR department that I might be able to file some sort of complaint with, just in case the situation rises again? That is my personal property. I worked very hard for it, and I'm a little bit put off that you would use it in some sort of strange test like this.
Well, I can guarantee you, and
my fists shoot up like, I'm good with people.
Right you are. Theoretically, of course, this was a perfectly fine test that I passed.
Yes, you did. And so I will kind of make a show of kind of looking at Phil and just say, Phil, we don't steal from Vigo, right? And, Phil just sort of nod.
Okay. And I, like, as you're walking away, I feel like Vigo is going to do one of those right at Phil, as Phil's like over your shoulder looking back. All right. Okay. So while everyone was doing various things, you found a couple discoveries. So you can kind of choose. These are totally optional. You don't have to do this kind of stuff if you don't want to. But these are places you can go and you can do things, and they're like little adventure sites, basically. So you can choose to do them. You're not required by any stretch to do them. So we can either, if you're interested in seeking more information or doing something in either of those places, or if you just want to get on the road, we can do that too. So I would say at some point, all of you reconvene during the next couple of days, and you can make that decision. That's for you all to tell me what to do.
Yeah, I would definitely bring up that I bet we can make a lot of money back if we spend whatever income we have left on all those wines.
Jeff, did the dude who hired us, did he have cargo he needed us to haul?
Yes. You have to, basically, one of your wagons that you purchased is effectively going to be dedicated to hauling a very, very large, by the way, this was your guys' decision on this last time, a very, very large piece of like a giant chest of some kind. Very, very heavy, very complicated locking mechanism on it. And then there's a message that says, do not open until the time is right.
That's
And the
right.
time
I
is right
remember
is
that.
literally like in quotes, and it's capitalized. Like it's a proper name.
Okay. Going to a dance club would be great. We should go there. It's like, it'll be awesome, man. Oh, also, you all need to eat, right?
It does
Okay.
help.
Some point.
We should buy food too. I'm not so good at that part.
Do we know how much money we have left over to
Uh,
buy wines?
right now, by my calculations, and I'm real bad at math,
$1,200?
we'll go, yes. 1,130. But we haven't bought any food or water.
Sure. So, I mean, I think we might as well just buy all of the wine we can with that after we've bought food and water. Because worst case, we can sell it if we need some liquid cash. In the next town, we won't.
I guess
we'll
it
get
is
a
wine,
full
yeah.
return.
It's
Okay, makes
100.
sense.
It's 100 cash per sack, and that will also take up space in your caravan.
We've got 9 sacks worth of cargo space left.
Okay. How much of that do you want to spend on wine? Vampire wine.
Vampire wine. So I guess my next question on the toolkits and essentials, supplies, premium, basic, it costs a sack. How many days will that feed us?
I think it's a week.
It's a week.
Is it a week?
Yeah, 1 sack is a week for a
Yep.
person.
That's correct. For a mouth.
Oh,
For a
we're out
mouth.
of space.
But your animals will graze for the most part. And
I do
it's
mention
specific times.
the possibility of the cargo that we could make a nice tidy profit on. I don't know how big that cargo is.
1 sack.
1 sack. But mention that.
So, I mean,
do we have 1 sack? So do we have like personal storage that we can use?
You can carry it on yourselves, absolutely. Over time, you will realize that carrying too much personally that you're carrying will be bad over the course of time.
Okay.
We can each only carry one sack before we're encumbered.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can see on your character sheet how there's like the 2 sacks there. There's the first sack and there's the second sack. If you get into that second sack, you're encumbered, and that's not a good place to be.
Okay. Is there any problem with traveling with that second pack?
Yeah, I think there's like an endurance test or something you have to take. I'll have to look it up to be sure.
I think it makes you slow. So when we're traveling for the week, we have to add up how many things are fast and how many things are slow. And the more things are encumbered, that's slow.
Okay.
And that adds extra time and takes more resources in the travel.
Man.
We can pull
Man,
out some of the kits that we were going to get.
I'm just thinking we get another wagon and 2 more mules, put all of our food in the leftover spot. We just fill up with wine. If we have money, we might have to rob someone.
Somehow we got 8,000 cash. That wasn't enough.
It's not enough.
You guys got a ton of cash. 8,000
We'll
is
have
a
4
ton
wagons. Yeah, 4 wagons.
1d6 times
4 wagons
500 or something.
48 sacks of storage right there.
Yeah.
Am I that bad at math?
I think so.
Yeah, we should have.
I wasn't
like,
gonna say
why am I-
crazy story.
Because
Why
I'm
am
bad.
I the one figuring this out?
But yeah,
Okay.
a wagon is 12 sacks of storage.
And
So-
one of those sacks is dedicated to the chest. So we only have 3 wagons to work with.
Which is
With
still 40 sacks of
Mhm.
space.
not 36.
Well, yeah, but close.
And 14 of that is for all of our kits.
22 sacks left.
And we need to get a week's worth of food, which is 12 sacks.
Yeah, still 10 sacks left.
So yeah, we get another wagon. And then we buy how much?
Do you need another wagon?
We need another wagon.
I thought.
And remember that the mules can carry things also.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Oh.
mules carry 2 sacks each.
Yes.
Or no. Horses carry 2 sacks each. Mules, I think, carry 4 sacks each.
Did they carry 4? Okay.
Or yeah, it's either 2 and 2 or 2 and 4.
Listen, let's do this.
I think
Let's just say we're just gonna say you grab some vampire wines. We'll figure out the exact number later. You grab the special delivery that Khalil managed to find, and we'll figure out the specifics of the organization. We'll just kind of hand wave at this point. We'll make it work. We'll make it work with whatever combo we can do, but we can spend time on that later. So we've got about half an hour left. So let's just do some other kind of discovery and moving around and things like that. So you guys want to go to the club? Is that what you said? You wanted to go to the transient tower? Or do you want to go to the last salon?
Yeah, if we're gonna go somewhere, I think we should go to the club and do some dancing. But I also don't want to get smoked. So someone more mature than me should also put an opinion out there.
And so I'm trying to look on the map to see where like the transient tower is.
The transient tower.
You should be able to see it now.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you've
okay.
got one here off to the northeast, basically, which I think I can.
Oh,
actually
I
put
see it
this-
now. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I was seeing dots, but now I see those look different. But so the last salon is at least in the general direction of where we're headed, I believe.
Yeah.
Let's go to the salon.
yeah, effectively, it's basically like an extra day's travel if you decide to do the other one. Okay, so
Let's do the
salon itself.
Salon it is.
All right, so we head to the salon. No problem at all. So you arrive, so you get on the road, and you start. And since it's kind of on your way, and it's at like this crossway point where you see heading off to like the northwest is this kind of like broken land that you know leads towards the steppes of the Lime Nomads, which is one route you could take. Or you could go the other route, which is the low road and the high, which is basically like a viaduct with one raised, broken high road and then another small road beneath it. And both of those will eventually kind of get you westward through different routes. The Lime Nomads are, they're steplanders. nomadic sheep herding folk, not necessarily like immediately violent or anything. Potentially, could be, as long as you don't sort of mess with anything too much, usually shouldn't be too much of a trouble, but it's a harder path. The other way is there's less opportunity probably for trade because you're not going through a place where there's established like settlements, and not settlements, but like herds and groups of people. But it's also probably a lighter path. So those are kind of the choices that you'll have to make in a moment. But you stop first at the last chair salon, which is about a day's journey west of the Violet City before you have to make your decision of which way you're going to go. There's all these, you can see in the distance, like there's these like scrubby uplands. There's a handful of other folks here that are, either wagons or horses, some whom are like stupidly on foot in times. But you can see that like there's various nomadic clans here as well that are kind of draped in their certain colors of blues, like the aqua and cerulean and stuff like that. But you can see also that there's like these deeply grooved like ridge lines that have like these visages of scaled kings, like they've been carved into the side as well, like from this old age before history was really written. And you can see that from those like carved facewards, the viaducts of the high road and the low road begin to extend kind of to the direct west. There are these like robin egg blue walls of some kind of old tower or fort that you can see that has been in some disrepair, but somebody has taken it and kind of repurposed that area into what looks like some kind of adobe-like structure. It is by and large kind of a rest stop, a restaurant. It's not a place where they sell rooms necessarily, but it is a place where you can see people have hitched wagons and have made camp in various locations around it. There's a reputation here for one specific product that people very much enjoy, and it's something called yellow beer. You also know that you'd also would be able to, like, just from chatting up some of the locals, the transient folk, and some of the ranchers and things that you can see spread out around the coffee plantations and stuff. There's kind of a mix of people here. But there is this, and it's all built around kind of like this one central repurposed tower. So if you go inside, so you can either kind of go inside, see what's going on inside. You could talk amongst some of the crowd, or something else. So what is it you all feel like doing when you're here?
Get some yellow beer, man. Let's go inside.
Okay. You go inside, and it is the equivalent of like an old Western saloon almost. Like you get these saddle doors when you kind of go inside. You can hear like there is some kind of music being played, and when you look over, it's almost like an automated piano machine, some kind of mech system that's been set up, and this sort of piano, like the sounds are kind of echoing throughout. It sounds almost like it's slightly out of tune, but it's more or less working for you. And as you look around, you can see there's about a dozen other individuals in here, some of whom are just kind of sitting down, drinking, some of whom are talking. You would notice that most of these folk seem to be human, like of some sort of Rainbow Land variety. There is a woman that seems to be running the joint that is similar to like a winery, is kind of walking people through who come up and ask about it. There's there's larger folk that are like wheeling out these large kegs from like this back storage area and kind of loading up these kegs into some of these wagons as people are buying full on huge chunks of it. But when you walk up, this woman's like, has kind of a cowboy feel to her, and she's just like, well, what y'all have? Don't take too long now. We've only got a few things here, but y'all just passing through? Y'all look like tourists.
Yeah. I'm a tourist. I'll have some beer.
We've heard great things about this yellow beer.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's definitely one of the, it's definitely the pride and joy of my family for sure. That's 100%. Come from a long line of Yolander. We've kind of fomented this particular this particular recipe, handed down through generations. Such secret as it might be, special recipe and such. But is everybody drinking? All of y'all just want? I mean, we talk a whole keg for the group. Okay, well, you know, it's about. You want a whole keg just for the wagon, or what are we thinking here?
We should get a keg to drink.
Okay. So, 200, she's like, okay, well, if I don't really know you folks too much. I haven't really seen your faces before around here, so that'll be about 200. Just say 200 cash for that.
Y'all have some money we can borrow?
Well, I don't really loan money. You're supposed to be buying it from me.
No, not you. My friends here.
I've never really personally pay attention to finances. Yeah, but I said man meat to go coordinate.
Sorry, man meat?
Oh yes, and you basically there's this tall guy that just has leathery skin. He's shirtless, but he's got a vest that's 2 sizes too small. That's seafoam green, pierced nose, purple hair, and then just a banana hammock with a matching color to the vest.
Wow, aren't you colorful folk? How wonderful. Well, man meat, that'll be 200 cash, please, if you want this keg for your party.
I don't have no $200 and bought a rifle.
We're $54 short.
Okay, well, if you're not going to take the keg, it'll be 70 cash, and I'll give you all just a little taste of the yellow bill, but that's all. Just a little taste, that's all it is.
A flight, if you will. Delightful.
Flight, how interesting. It's a good word. She writes it down.
Of course it is. That's why I said it.
And it's the cat. Is it the cat that's talking right now?
Yes.
And she's like,
basically, man meat does the really gravelly.
Okay. So you can see she kind of downcasts her eyes around you. She doesn't really kind of look you in the eyes too much. You can see there's a lot of folks in here that are kind of when they see the Violet Cat Lord come in, they're all kind of, is that one of those? Kind of whispering going on here and there. When you pass through some of the other folks that were camped up outside, same kind of difference. Okay.
Liam actually wants to try to make an offer.
Okay.
To see if maybe, do you ever take some of this yellow beer and sell it elsewhere?
No, I am quite fixed here, thank you very much. I'm not one of those foolhardy idiots that are heading out west thinking they can do this, that, or the other thing, taking all these sorts of journeys out there. You know, the number of folk who head out west compared to the number of folk who come back east, I tell you what, there's far fewer folk who come back to the east than head out to the west. I should tell you something. But no, there's some folk who like to do that. Yeah, they like to buy some kegs, and that's why there's a little bit of a markup for tourist folks like yourself who are heading this way and that, trying to sell it. But if you're looking to do such a thing, well, I'm going to need some investment from you, and it sounds like you're all a bit short on the cash.
Could we trade?
You want to trade?
Yeah.
Do you have anything of use?
Vampire wine.
Who drinks that filth here? No, thank you very much. Redlander piss. Ugh. Would you say,
any of your kin that can use a little bit of medicine, some checkup, perhaps some ailments that they need correcting? I specialize in amputations, but can do other.
Well, I do have a nephew out back who's got the strangest growth on his back. It's quite big and rotund and hairy. We've been wanting to get that thing removed. Interesting question here. I'll tell you what, if you can do that without killing him, I'll go ahead and give your party 1 keg of my delicious yellow beer.
It is important to be specific. I'm glad you said without killing.
Yes, without. He's not my favorite nephew. He's kind of an asshole, but, you know. I have a sister, I think, somewhere. At least he says that he's the son of my sister, so it's not like him to lie, of course. But anyway.
Oh, yes, and of course, before we agree to such swapping of usefulness, is the growth by any chance sentient?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I have heard him talking to it quite frequently. Often leaning his head back, his chin over his right shoulder, talking back to it. I haven't heard any voices coming back to him, however. So it could just be my nephew's man.
It's okay, then, that if the growth is dispatched, that would be fine. Yes.
Of course, yes, it's fine. I don't care too much about it. I just want him to shut up and get back to work. So she takes you out back, and you can see, like, there's sort of a process where he's like kind of cleaning up kegs that have, you know, been using, like kind of recycling certain barrels and such. And he's got a kind of a muscle shirt on a little bit. It's a little bit looser than it should be. And every now and then you see like the sweat, because it's fairly hot out right now, makes the shirt cling. And you see this giant bulbous like goiter sticking out from underneath his shoulder blade. And he kind of leans back and kind of talks to it. Now he's like, now hush now. Just be quiet. Okay. Everything will be all right.
I would like to lead then. I'll get out one of my needles. I'm sure I have as a doctor or taken from the medical kit. Dip it into the sleep potion. Kind of, you know, put it between my fingers, reach out with my hand to, you know, hello there. And try to put him out.
Well, how you doing now? It's a pleasure to meet you. And he kind of reaches out, shakes her hand. It's a pleasure. And just falls over. Barrels just kind of tumble over the place because he's not holding them anymore. But he's laying on the ground now next to what looks like some kind of well pump.
Okay. I will check out my patient.
Okay. So you peel back the shirt and you see something that almost makes you retch. What why don't you tell me, Bert, what would make Khalil retch? What kind of thing on his back? What's something that would kind of make either retch or just kind of like do a start?
He's not big on worms. He just doesn't like worms.
Okay. So you see a giant mound, and like from it, there's this worm that kind of comes up, and you could hear it say, like, "Hey, Stevie, you okay? You okay?" And then sees you, not really sees you, but kind of senses you, and just quickly goes back into the mound.
Okay. This might require some assistance. If someone wouldn't mind,
let me get in
excuse
there.
me for a minute. I'm gonna turn around and like puke off to the side.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna try and remove it, and I'm gonna ask for some assistance in case this thing ends up trying to attack me.
Manmeat is lending some assistance. MSG, would Manmeat have any skills that might be suited in this particular situation that could actually make him a useful assistant in surgery?
I mean, mostly he's just good at carrying stuff for me and enduring all the drugs that I give him. So if nothing else, he's like very level-headed. Like nothing phases him.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So he just kind of holds him down. Yeah, you can take we'll take like a little +1 from MSG, making sure that like any kind of weird fidgeting is being held down. So go ahead and roll. It's up to you if you want to do like thought or agility for this. It could just be based on your brain, or it could be based on your physical skill with the scalpel, whatever you think is more suited. I'm going to use
agility. Surgery with a specialization in amputations is my skill, so that's a +4.
Okay.
And I am going to use one of my D6s. I don't want this to go wrong.
Okay.
So +4. Oh,
I'll also say this is like a perfect match. It's close enough that I'll use it so I can use it as an example. So when a skill is so perfectly suited for a situation, it's got to be a very specific skill, not like a broad skill. You get like double the bonus. So in this case, you would get +4 from your skill bonus.
And you set a
Ooh.
+1 in general because of the help. So
Yeah. So you're
Yeah,
at plus
so a
5, and then
D20
whatever your agility is.
+7 is what it's going to end up being. But did you say earlier that I don't have to declare the heroic die until after the roll, or do I have to declare?
That's
Correct.
how we're gonna play it until I look it
Yeah.
up later. So we'll just play
I
it like
looked it
that for
up.
now.
All right, we'll go without to start with then. Ooh, a 9.
Okay.
So I am going to add a heroic die.
Okay.
14.
And I should also mention that don't forget the heroic dice can also be used to instead like roll with advantage. You can roll with advantage, or you can just add a flat, a flat bonus
Oh, I
with
see.
your D6 roll.
Well, in which case, can I just roll another D20 then and take the?
Yeah,
best
go
of
ahead.
the
That's
two?
fine.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see, what did I roll? A 5. So that ends up with a 12, I think. So it ends up with a 12.
Okay.
I want to do real good with this, so I'm gonna burn the other one for a D6.
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah. This is gonna be one of those things where the higher the better. The better you
Yeah.
do, the better the result.
18.
18's very good. So two significant things here. One, you don't kill Stevie. That's most important. But you're also able to remove this worm creature without killing it. And you notice too that it had some kind of sort of sac gestating in it, as if it was like reproducing. So you could conceivably give the worm back to Stevie, since they're friends, and take your own little tiny worm and study it later and maybe learn some things about it.
I'll slide one into a test tube.
Mm-hmm.
We'll
And
wait
so
for
at some point,
Stevie
yeah.
to wake
So
up.
at some point later, there is like literally a camp action to study, and so like you can actually gain XP just from like studying this creature and stuff like that. And so just write in your inventory like baby worm sample or something like that, and we'll figure that out later.
Sure. Worm
Okay.
sample. All right, and then give Stevie the option now that it may not be influencing him since it's not attached.
Okay. Stevie
And
will
let his family know what's going on too.
Stevie will be very upset that that things have been separated, but he's not directing, because you did so well. He's not directing his anger towards you. He's directing his anger towards his aunt, who allowed you to do such a thing. But he would like to keep his pet. Yes.
I do
Okay.
let the folks know. Well, it seems to be some kind of intelligent organism that has only the best in mind for your Stevie, apparently. But you should watch. He may try to reinstall it at some time of his desire. Just letting you know.
Yeah, seemed pretty
Now
easy.
about that barrel of beer.
Oh, cool. Yeah, a deal's a deal. Deal's a deal. So, barrel of yellow beer you now have. Okay. So, you guys hang around, and so the way this works for like Discovery XP is you basically linger here for like a day and do a tourist once over. Is essentially what happens. And so over the course of the next couple hours into the day, Khalil and MSG were while they were busy doing the surgery, the rest of you were drinking your yellow beer samples that you were given, talking to some of the folks here, the other tourists, and some of the other ranch, like the nearby folk, and you learn a few things. You learn that there's a bit of contention between this woman, Marcia Venoble is her name, between her and some other folks, because like it turns out that it's not just yellow beer that seems to be one of the products here, but also there's what's called a drug called Felix Whiz, and so that's another one of kind of their dirty little secrets of the joint, which can be had for additional money, but you guys are running low at this point. But you also hear like this rumor about the yellow beer itself. You hear a rumor that somewhere in the cellar beneath the last salon, it's almost like it's not even really a well-kept secret by locals, is that there is a Vome nest mother, that it's basically a fermentation golem that's being used to produce the yellow beer. A Vome is a violent mechanism. It's basically like a robotic machine that has violent tendencies, and apparently she's been using that to make her beer. So,
So what would we think of that sort of in this universe? Like, what would we think of the fact that she's using this creature for?
well, I mean, that's up to you all, but Vomes are not well thought of. Vomes are effectively like, a villainous type faction to some degree, right? It's our version of UVG, so we can do what we want. But because they have Vomes have violent tendencies, there is a bit of people try to avoid them. But then there's also salvagers and such who try to scavenge them and break them down, use them for parts, and then there's certain other like engineers types who might actually be curious about using them in some way. So, I mean, it's whether or not some people might want to take a look at it. Some people might just want to avoid it entirely. It's your call. But if that's but with that, like, you guys spent your time here, there didn't seem to be anything too monstrous that was happening. That was like the biggest juicy secret, and then the issue with the nephew, which was taken care of fairly deftly by Khalil in MSG.
Got us some free beer.
So I think what we'll do to end the night is let's get on the road, and so we can kind of like walk through the process of that really quick. It only takes so we'll just get started with that, and then we'll pick up next time at your arrival, or effectively at the next place. So you have a choice. So if you look at the map, bring it up again. So if you want to look at the map here, you can see that there's we are our little like lollygagger nuclear symbol for now. And so you guys are right here. You can choose to go essentially to the steppe of the Lime Nomads or to the low road in the high. Those are the next destinations. You can see that there are these little numbers in the circles here that indicate how long it takes to get there. And so this would be a 1 week travel to get to the low road and the high, whereas the steppe of the Lime Nomads would be a 2 week travel. Every week you eat, basically, and so you have to like burn sacks of food and resources. But every week you also potentially have encounters, which can be both good and bad, and misfortune and other types of things can potentially happen. And you can kind of see the basic network as it moves down. So you all basically get to dictate it. So my question to you is basically, which path would you like to take? This is a longer path to the steppe, but so it's a harder road, but there's also the potential of encountering some nomad clans, so there's potential trade opportunities if you get lucky on some of your travels, and even the steppe itself, there might be some more like established groups that you might be able to interact with. The low road and the high is probably the simpler path, but there might be less opportunity on that path. It's sort of an oversimplification of the choice, but nonetheless, good enough here. So it's up for you which way you all would like to go.
No, I'll put it out there. I understand it's not necessarily the most logical course of action. I understand I don't want anybody to starve. Nobody wants to starve, by God. But there was tale of a megapede in the steppes. And it may actually be of ancient tech, possibly even alien. Alien, you say? Yes, alien, as in from the stars. And what are we doing? We want to go to the stars. And this thing could be from the stars. Maybe it has like a part of the key that we need. I'm just saying.
You've sold me.
Make a very good argument.
But do we want to go straight there, or do we want to go to the low road and the high and then over? Because it looks like it takes the same amount of time.
It looks like potentially a more windy mountainous path if we go to the low and the high first. I might want the easier route myself. Time being the same.
Being the one that doesn't really need to eat anything, we do only have a week of supplies.
Yeah.
Oh.
That could be a problem.
Just
We might have to
there.
retcon that as we figure out your caravan.
Figure back out the caravan again.
Yeah.
So then the safe approach sounds like going the low road and the high.
I would say don't worry about the food stuff. We'll sort that out like between the sessions. So just whatever path you think is more interesting.
My vote would be taking this 2 week road to the steppe through the flatlands. to the north.
Yeah, let's do that one.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Okay. Excellent. So then you all decide to head towards the steppe of the nomads, which is great. Again, think of this like a montage, right? Like in the sense of most of the journeying is very mundane, boring travel with these little moments interspersed of great interest and intrigue and misfortune is kind of what it's described as. And so that's why the week as a unit is important. And so for the first week, you can see that the sun comes up, or I should say the purple haze kind of retreats by about 8:30 in the morning. And you've heard, and Satrap 956 Lamb would know that the further west you go, the later and later and the longer and longer it takes for that purple haze to recede. There's a darkness that kind of overtakes the western lands that kind of lingers even longer. But here the sun comes out quite early. There's like this smell of cinnamon kind of on the air, to the point where it actually gets in your eyes and begins to make them water, as there's like this cinnabar ash that's kind of burning throughout. Every now and then, for those of you who have tongues and taste buds, you can feel that taste on the tip of your tongues. Here's where we'd reduce the supplies, but we'll handle that off air as we situate some of that stuff. But what we're going to do is, we got to do then is we have to do a misfortune roll. So that is handled by somebody new every single time, and it's a charisma test every single time. And so I'm just going to do it randomly. It will be Chuck. So Chuck, go ahead and roll a charisma test. Higher is better. Higher is always better on this. But lower can be really hilarious. And good for the stream.
You're muted, Chuck.
I said, there we go. Yes, 11. A little disappointed it wasn't lower.
Okay.
Do we have any
hero
rerolls left?
dice?
Yeah.
Can I do a reverse hero die on it?
You could roll advantage and take the lower or whatever.
No, I'm okay. I'll go with 11.
Okay. Everybody go ahead. Okay. How many of you... Let's see. I know that the satraps have helmets. They have these glass domes over their heads. So this one, fortunately, this bit wouldn't really affect them. But as you're traveling, let's call it on like around the 5th day or so, a kind of a cinnabar storm comes up as like this red dust like kicks up from the pastures and just begins to overtake the caravan itself. It's like this dust storm. It's the most wonderful smelling dust storm you've ever probably had, but there's a burning nonetheless, to the point where your eyes become red and irritated. Because Satrap and because Teapot don't, they actually have helmets, you're unaffected. And I'll say Tango, you are unaffected as well, but your meat suit will be affected. So everybody go ahead and let's roll like an endurance test. We'll treat this as a moderate test. So go ahead and roll that, and we'll see how badly this affects you. So moderate is basically a DC 11. It's a target
Question in
here.
chat, the animals.
Oh yeah, the animals. Yeah.
So if I were because I can shrink my size, if I were to shrink myself to where I could basically just get into like a big saddle pouch or something, so I'm not taking as big a brunt, could I maybe help out the endurance?
I would say that I mean you can take take an extra roll. I would say roll it at advantage. Let's do that. Roll yours at advantage for your ability to do that.
Hooray!
Okay. Why is everyone rolling as the caravan? I can't tell who's
I don't know how to
It's
do
the only
We're
token that's
auto-selected
out.
on the table.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because the only token.
Yeah.
Okay, good call. I'll fix that next time. All right, so everybody, let's go by one.
I'm gonna roll again.
Okay, so Chuck, what'd you roll?
13.
Okay, that's a pass. Anybody fail? Anybody not hit an 11?
I failed.
Roll a D4, Ensen.
All right. 3.
You take 3 points of agility damage as over the
Ow.
course of this dust storm, you are not quick enough to wrap something around your eyes or cover you. You take some horrible fall, your eyes are burning, and you are in significantly rough shape as you finally climb into a wagon or toss like a poncho over your head, or somebody throws something at you that might work as a blindfold, but you can almost feel tears and blood coming down your face.
What happens if I'm at -3 agility?
So that means you take a fatigue. Whenever you would take damage, that would take you either your stats into the negative or your life into the negative. You take a fatigue. So you become
Does
grumpy.
that reset my damage once I take a fatigue? So do I take
You're
-3
still, you would be at
agility?
0. You can't technically go below 0. So set your agility to 0,
Oh,
but then
okay.
take a fatigue. And
Oh, you're grumpy.
yeah, so you're gonna be, which makes sense, right? And stat damage and stuff can, like, if you all rest, if you are to camp out and rest or something like that, that's one of the things you can potentially recover during a long rest, which is a week. So then the next thing we would do, I'm doing this again a little bit more mechanically just so that we kind of get it, is we would normally do a random encounter. Is every week something happens, you encounter something. And so this is where we're going to end. As you crest over a ridge and you look to the north and you can see the ridge lines beginning to grow higher and taller and the Blue Ridge Mountains become more pronounced, you also notice that the Cinnabar dust storm begins to settle. You see up ahead what almost looks like almost like carnival top tents. As you see, there's a handful of tents that have been set up along the side of the road, not a road, but I should say a trail. And you can see that there's several wagons. There's people moving about. There's herds that have been quickly put within some kind of corral, this makeshift corral. You can tell that this looks like some sort of traveling village. And when you approach, these two limey nomads step forth and say, "Oh, I don't know what voice I'm gonna do for the limey nomads. Okay, lads, just stop right there. You're within the presence of the limey matriarch. You need to state your business, and before we let you come further within our wonderful little community here, you need to agree and abide by a certain list of behaviors. One of which is, don't fuck around. It's not very nice to do that. Leave the herd alone. They are part of our extended family. If you have something to trade, we are more than happy to hear it. But none of you shall be having any sort of audience with the matriarch unless we see fit to allow it. Is this understood?"
That sounds very reasonable.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, if all of you could quickly just stick your heads out so we can do a quick scan to ensure that no such Valms or Ultras are among your party, we can go ahead and allow you into our small little village here. Single file, as you please. And you can see that there's some tiny little piece of tech. And as everyone lines up in a small little line, at the back, there's Tango Carney kind of sweating a little bit. And we will pick up on that when we start next week.
Nice.
Okay?
Oh dear.
All right.
We got this covered.
We're good. We're good. Oh no, he said ultra.
Ah,
So interesting. Why is the same song keep replaying? I have like 10 different songs on this list, and it's like the same one over and over again. Interesting.
MSG, I really wonder if that hunting that you think you're going to do is one of their herd that they just told you to leave alone.
it's okay. We're
I
gonna get
should
the
say-
matriarch to give us permission.
The herds look like sheep and stuff like that. They look like legitimate
Oh,
creatures
okay.
of like that, like a herd of like megapedes. Are you kidding? That would be frightening. Megapede is like, think of like a dune worm. It's in the same general vicinity, maybe not that big, but it's in the category. It's in there.
Nice. So maybe more tremors than Dune.
Yeah, that sounds fair. I like that.
Amazing.
So we will we'll pick up on this in a couple weeks as we play more UVG. I'm gonna go back. I want to properly tally up some XP for you all, and I'll let you know on the Discord exactly how much you would have gotten from the discovery, from a couple little odds and ends that you all did, because a couple of you did some things that you would have gotten XP for. No one really caroused. I guess, well, sort of. MSG sort of caroused, and I'll figure it out, and I'll let you know exactly how much you're gonna get. But yeah, let's just do some closing round table, see what everybody's doing this week. So Bert, what do you got going on this week?
Well, on twitch.tv/Steam Steel Murder tomorrow night, Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, we're doing some first edition Dungeons and Dragons, followed by Friday, same time, BX Dungeons and Dragons. And Sunday is GURPS Traveler, I think.
Okay, awesome. Chuck, what are the Defenders doing this week?
Ooh, Wednesday, 9 p.m., we're doing some Pathfinder. There's going to be a Jeff, and a Bert, and a Jeremy over there. And then Friday, we're doing some more Pathfinder. Joe will be there. And then Saturday at 9 p.m. Central over on Goodman Games Official, we're doing Crypt of the Devil Lich. Keep playing that. And I think Sunday we're doing Saltmarsh on Defenders.
Oh,
yeah.
Busy week.
Yeah.
Jeremy, you got anything?
Yeah, we're on the last couple of days of Black Blizzard over on Kickstarter. Modern occult noir style comic. Pretty cool. Check it out.
And as for Melissa and I, we'll be back, in addition to what Chuck said, the games that I'm in, we'll be back on our channel on Friday playing Delta Green Impossible Landscape. We had a pretty banger, crazy episode last week. We could be finishing part 2. We'll see. Everyone's going to hate me in the group, so that's when you know things are going well. Saturday, we are doing Worlds Without Number. We're closing in on the end of Chapter 1 of that. I think we should be able to finish that this Saturday. And then next Monday, we'll be playing Alien as we alternate between UVG and Alien every Monday. And you can see some of the same faces that you see on the screen playing in that. And also tomorrow night, I will be over on Garblack Games playing Call of Cthulhu with our one-armed friend, Matt. Not to be confused with the two-armed Matts that we know, the one that's in chat right now. So if you want to hang tight, we'll go ahead and get on out of here. I'll raid somebody, and you can get more tabletop role-playing game goodness on your Monday. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching this later if you watch this on YouTube, as we stumble through some things and kind of figure out what the hell and how the hell we run this game. So good night, everybody.